Because you just.
You have to do your face.
It just nice. Oh my god.
That's what you get.
It was not nice. That's my I already got 30 by the way.
Here, if you want to get your thumb on blue.
And go ahead.
Oops, I only have 3, Tristan. Do you still have your pen?
Oh,
I need one more tattoo.
oh, okay.
It can be any color.
Oh, okay. That's not figure what. It's just on. It's like.
Yeah, I'm doing one.
Well, it's already set up. I don't need
Beautiful, thank you.
I think I have 2.
Oh, well, the rule is at least 3.
Here, let me mark you.
Smiley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that Korean? Chinese? No. Okay. What February? What it says? What does it say? What? By who?
should draw a dodecahedron. It's my favorite.
How do you draw
Hi,
Draw
Lee.
12
Troy? Tree, good to meet you.
together.
Oh, is this?
Oh, have you done, well, you have to get started. You're going to create a symbol. It can be any symbol. We've got washable markers just in the back. You're going to sign in with your symbol and then get at least 3 from other people and give at least 3. There you go. We're already started here.
What? Huh? What? No. Is this like a mustache?
Did you hear?
Isn't that evil?
Oh, yes.
Our not related. Thank you.
Thanks.
Why do I?
Is this for me to refer to?
Don't look.
Right here. Thank you. I will make sure that I stopped wearing a watch because I found that
Give you a weird taste.
no, it was just I was too caught up in time and like too time conscious, so I was trying to be more relaxed, and now I'm like, oh, I wish I had a watch on. Actually.
Yeah, because you resisted.
Yeah.
Okay, has everybody signed in?
Would you?
Oh, yes. It's a little duck. Have you signed me?
I have not, and I was just about to ask you. Let's see.
Great, thank you. Okay,
I hope you are not.
so.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
That's what he gets for resisting.
You know, your last name is like year. There you go.
Are we about ready to get started? What do you think?
Like everybody has enough seats.
Okay, do we have enough chairs for everybody? And
Can you drop your phone?
Year. The kite. No. Wait, you're getting Chinese or?
It's an engineering thing.
okay, everybody adequately tattooed? Fabulous. Okay, have a seat. We'll go ahead and get started.
Oh, wait. Do you want to sit here? And one of us will have it. Wait.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Today we welcome Mrs. Leigh Van Swall. She's from Duckies in a Row, program that designed to help youth, especially for entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Bless you.
Today, she's coming with us to show us how to leave a positive digital footprint, which is a very interesting topic. So welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I am, okay, are we set with recording? Are we going?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, as she said, we're going to start talking about having a positive digital footprint. So first, let me start with telling you a little bit about myself. So if you were to go online, what kind of things do you think you could find out about me?
A lot.
A lot. Like what? What could you find out?
Your age.
You could find out about how old I am. What else? What else could you find out?
Your career.
What I do for a job.
Your expenditures.
Oh, you could probably find out what kind of things I buy. Right. What else? And you said what schools I went to, or school or schools, right? What else could you find out about me? Yeah. What movies and TV shows I like. So you might find out some things about me that you want to know. I went to William and Mary, studied East Asian studies and Chinese language. I'm now in a master's program studying education, getting a master's of ed at UVA. I'm 45 years old. I like to buy a lot of movies. I actually buy a lot of movies and a lot of books, bless you. And trying to think what the last, and the book that I'm reading is a novel called Don't Order Dog. And, you know, so all this stuff, part of it is stuff that I've put out there, and part of that is stuff that other people have put out there. My background in branding and development actually came from the fashion industry. I worked with Tommy Hilfiger. I worked at Nautica. Sean John, Puff Daddy was my boss at one point. And I worked on branding, licensing, and business development. So branding has always been something that's been really important to me. And we've got the stuff that other people put online about us, but then we also have the stuff that we put out. So that's what we're going to talk about mostly today, is what we decide to put online about ourselves. But I'm going to tell you a little story of what happened to me that went kind of wrong. So a long time ago, I was in between jobs, having a really tough time. I needed some work. And I found out that I could go and have some pictures taken. I'm like, okay, well, why not go make a couple $100, have some pictures taken. This won't be that bad, right? They showed up 8 years later. A friend of mine called me up and he's like, I was in Vegas and I saw your picture. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what were those pictures that I had taken? I'm like, what? Wait, what? Okay, what did I do? When was this? And then another friend told me down in North Carolina that my pictures showed up in the yellow pages. I'm like, oh no, oh my God, this is bad. And then they showed up in the newspaper. So I'm going to show you these pictures because, you know. So here's what happened. This showed up. I had totally forgotten about it. It was like 6 or 8 years later that this picture showed up. Next one, in the yellow pages. The funny thing is that actually last weekend, I was up at my house in New York State, and I went and got the newspaper. There was another shot that came from this shot with me holding coupons. It was in the newspaper. I'm like, wow. Good thing these pictures were pretty benign and I didn't do anything that was kind of wild and crazy, because I had forgotten that I did that. Because at the time, I didn't think about the consequences of what might have happened by having all of those pictures taken. So today, I asked you to come up with a symbol, right? So if I have something online that doesn't have my face on it, usually that picture of me in blue is usually what I'll put online. So if you go to my website, you'll see that. If you go to LinkedIn, you'll see that. But sometimes I don't want them to see my face and who I am. You know, like Craftsy. It's a little arts and crafts community. It's like, I don't necessarily want to show my face. So this is the face that I put up. Her name is Esmeralda. She's my little puppet. So if you look at that image, what does that tell you about me? Does that give you any clue about who I am? Can you see the image? My Muppet? What do you think that says about me if you see that image? Yeah.
I think you're quirky.
Kind of quirky, uh-huh. What else? Does it tell you anything more about me? Yeah.
You like fashion and makeup?
Right, so her groovy little dress, kind of fun. What else? To say anything else? Tell you that I'm really, you know, dry and serious and like to read a lot, or
Like all the time.
yeah. What else might it say?
You value her son.
Okay, so I like her little bandana. Yeah, so I consciously thought about the picture that I put up here. So, we're playing around today and it's like, okay, well, let's just come up with a symbol and we're going to come back to these later. But it's like when you're thinking about how you're putting yourself out there, part of it is going to have to be just as simple as, what headshot do I want to put out there? Is it something that's just, just a little selfie that I took that isn't very good but doesn't really show me? Or am I going to go ahead and have a professional photograph taken? Or just make sure it's a nice photograph. So the simplest things, like just choosing what icon you want to use or what photograph you want to use, is a really important thing in telling people a little bit about you. So if I may be so bold, why did you choose the infinity sign?
For a couple of reasons.
Okay.
The first one is that I like number 8. So
Uh-huh.
just flip it, it's an 8.
Yep.
And the second one is that I just think it's like a positive word.
Great. Excellent. And then you chose a Chinese character. What did the character mean and why did you choose it?
Well, it's in Old Vietnamese. There's we used to have characters as well,
Mhm.
and that's my last name in Old Vietnamese.
Oh, very cool.
So then it's like I was thinking of having that as a tattoo,
Mhm.
and it's like carrying my past with me because it's also my mom's maiden name.
And what is it?
Tram.
Yeah, very nice. Okay. Does anyone else want to share sort of why you chose the symbol that you did? Was it hard to choose something, or just like, oh, I'll just do this? You just come up with something randomly?
Just smiling face with like you happy.
Excellent. And we just talked about happiness, so that's perfect. So that's one thing to really think about, is what you're putting out there. What is your online image, and what is it going to say to other people about who you are? So when we talk about digital citizenship, what does that mean? Okay, well, let's go back. What's citizenship mean? Like if you're a citizen of a place, what does that mean?
You belong to a community.
You belong to a community, yeah. So what are some communities that we may belong to here? So we belong to the A Success community. What other communities do we belong to?
Facebook.
Okay, so there's your Facebook community. What else?
The school you go to.
Your school community. The neighborhood that you live in. So there are all these different communities. So that would be a citizen of that community. So what do we think digital citizenship means? So it's how you are behaving online. So if in your neighborhood, would you go and throw toilet paper all over everybody's trees? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stay away from you online, right? So thinking about how you're behaving online is as important as how you're behaving when you're here at a Success, or when you're with your family, or when you're in your neighborhood and things like that. So how about those digital communities? Like, do you know everybody that you have on that you're friends with on Facebook?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay, have you met everybody in person?
Yes.
Not really.
And that's the thing. It's like you have to start thinking about it, because when you first started gathering that community, you knew it's like, oh, well, I want you to be my friend. So we, send out a friend request. I want you to be my friend. So we'll send out a friend request. And then it's like, oh man, maybe I want him to be my friend too. So I'm going to just send a request to him because he's a friend of hers. And, I'm just expanding my community. And that's a really important thing to think about, because if I'm putting that picture of myself out, which is telling you a lot about me. I mean, even if it's not a picture of me, that picture of Esmeralda still tells you something about who I am and what I'm about. So do I really want him to know about that? I don't know. So it's something to think about. In person versus online. Do you guys behave the same way?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that, Tristan.
Oh. I feel like I'm a little bit more introverted online because I'm better at speaking than people.
Great.
In person.
And do you think that's standard and typical? I hear a lot of people who are really introverted in person, but then online they're really share everything. So that's a really interesting observation. Does anybody else notice a difference between how they are in person and online?
Online, I'm probably more liable to be crazier.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
Oh, just because there's like a screen blocking you,
Mm-hmm.
so you feel safer and just letting go.
Right. Right. Yeah. Cyberbullying is such a big thing that's happening right now. And part of that is because, in person, I'm probably not going to be like, well, you, but online, I'm like, well, he, so it's funny how when we aren't with a person, we may act really differently with them. So it's important for us to realize that who we are in person is actually who we want to present ourselves online, right? Control about who sees what. You don't have a lot of control. Now, what is it that we can do to sort of control what we have put out there?
Not let those pictures circulate.
Right. In the state of Virginia, there's actually a lot of laws against indecent photographs. So, at certain ages, people can end up with a felony by putting things up that they think are just, this is harmless fun between.
Can you explain what indecent photograph? I mean, many of us would not know what.
Absolutely. So, for example, if someone takes a selfie of themselves without clothes on and sends it to someone else, they can go to jail if you're a certain age. So if you receive a photograph like that, best to delete it because it can be a felony, which is a really bad thing in the state of Virginia. So they actually, Virginia is one of the strongest states when it comes to indecent photographs and pornography and things like that. So you may see something online and you think, oh, isn't this funny? And it really is. It's a crime in this state. So
what is the lowest level of being characterized as an indecent
gosh. Well, I'm not a lawyer. I would say if you have to think about it, don't post it. That would be my rule.
When you look at it, you know what it is.
Yeah.
It's sort of indecent. I mean, when you see it, you know it.
Yeah. Would you want your mom to see it? Would you want your grandma to see it? If you wouldn't be okay with mom or grandma seeing that photograph, don't put it online. So my photographs were pretty harmless. I mean, there's nothing that would affect me in my work, my brand, my personal brand. If I went out to get a job and someone had seen that photograph of me in Las Vegas, I'm not very worried that I'm not going to get the job because I had those photographs taken and they ended up getting circulated many years later. But if you're out at a party and doing dumb stuff, because we all do dumb stuff from time to time, be really mindful about who's taking pictures and who's posting them and what's going on. Because once they're out there, getting it back is probably the hardest part. And I'll tell you a quick story about what happened to me around that is I was in a competition for a book deal. So I went and did a weekend workshop, and part of the competition was you have to put a book proposal together and you had to do a little video that says, oh, this is who I am and this is what my idea is and this is why I want you to give me this book deal. So I did the video. Oh, I didn't like it. So I did it again. And then I actually did it a third time. Well, very long story short, I couldn't figure out how to get the versions I didn't like off of the internet. And it took me about a year to finally figure it out, because you can't just call up YouTube. I tell you this by personal experience. You can't just send an email or call up YouTube and say, hey, can you do me a favor? I put that up by accident. Can you just take down that video? Now, again, it was just a video of me talking about my brand in a professional way and what I was doing. But if you went online and Googled Leigh Van Swall, it would come up and I'm like, well, that was not the good video. I don't want you to see that video. But it took really a lot of work to actually get it back down. So being mindful about what goes up is important. where it might go to. And if you do see something up there, if you've been tagged in a photo and your hair is all wobbly and you don't want it to be, you know, how do I untag myself? I don't want to be there. You know, you may just be part of a group and you got tagged and it's still going to show up as you, right? So, got all of these different types of social media. Okay, how many people are on Facebook? Okay, how many people are on LinkedIn? Okay, how many people are on Twitter? Okay, I'm on Twitter too. How many people have email? No email? How many people use Instagram? Okay, Pinterest? Blogs? Okay, so there are all these different things. What's the difference between them? Why would you want to, what's Instagram for? Why would you want to use Instagram? Why would you choose that platform? Pictures. So if you've got a lot of pictures and you like to want to just share pictures. And can you tag people on that? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what about blogging? Why would you want to use blogging?
Or you can either use it to put out information or express yourself in a longer format, or allows you to.
Right, exactly. And what do you guys think about if I decide that I want to talk about something that doesn't have to do with my brand? So I want to talk about puppies, but I don't want it linked to Leigh Van Swall. And I'm going to put up that I am a puppy lover as my name. What do you guys think about me being able to just blog under a pseudonym, using someone else's name and not really myself? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah? What do you guys think?
Depends.
Okay, talk to me about that.
Oh, I mean, okay, with puppies, okay, if you're talking about other things where it might, the government deem otherwise, then they can track you down through like your IP. There's lots of different ways.
Great point. So if I teach over at Flint Hill School. So if I decide that I want to be theuglyteacher.com and I want to just talk about all the yucky things happening and how bad my students are and the parents are yucky and I just think the people I work for are just stupid. So you're saying they can track me down if I'm just theuglyteacher.com?
If they file a complaint saying that you know what you're doing is not safe for the students or for whatever reason the government seems being wrong,
Right, right, yeah.
they can go and search for it and have your name.
So can you see how that could maybe be something to think about? It's like, oh, I'm going to go on this secret thing and no one will know it's me. And I'll put this different picture up and no one will know it's me. It's still, it can get back to you. Now, does it mean that I can't have those opinions? I mean, am I allowed to think that my parents sometimes can be a bit annoying or that my kids can sometimes be disrespectful? Am I allowed to feel that? Okay, so what's another way that I could express that?
Through your friends.
I can just talk to my friends about it. What else?
Or you can set up a blog and set it to private.
I love that idea. So it's like you can still write about it, but then just don't publish it. Like my personal opinion is that's what my diary is for. My diary is a place where things that I just need to get off my chest, that's a good place to put it. One day, I don't know if I'll ever burn them, but you know, that's like a place where all of those things can go. So is there anyone who, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, anyone who uses all 7 of these? And take a look. Does anyone use all 7 of these? So we got, who has 6 out of 7? Okay, who else has 6 out of 7? Okay, I have a present for the, excuse me, I have a prize for those who have 6 out of 7. Whoops. Sorry, those ducks are crazy. You had 6 out of 7? You had 6 out of 7. There you go. So flying rubber duckies, you just can't control them. So, you know, each of these, it's not to say that like you have to try them all, but they all have different purposes, and there are different reasons to explore different types of social media. So, okay, so I gave everybody an index card. Now we're going to take a few minutes and explore who you are as a personal brand, right? We've got a couple of brands up here. So when you look at, and I apologize that you can't really see this one. When you look at this image, what do you think of? Starbucks, coffee, right? Okay, what about this one?
Tiger Woods.
Shoes, Tiger Woods, soda,
Wi-Fi.
technology. Okay. So you don't even need to see the whole golden arches to know that that's McDonald's. So when we created our little icons, it's like, this is branding on a big scale, right? So when I worked at Tommy Hilfiger, the way that the flag was, the proportions of the flag, the colors of the flag, that was a protected brand. So that whenever you saw that red, white, and blue flag, you knew that that was Tommy Hilfiger, right? So it's creating that brand. So on your index card, you're going to write down your name. And on the front, I want you to write 2 to 3 different interests. So give me some examples of different interests. What's something? Soccer is an interest. What's another interest? What's another interest? Music. Give me a couple more. Technology. Any other interests?
Puppets.
Great, puppets. I'm a big Muppet fan. Is there anyone who didn't get a card? Well, there you go.
Jim didn't get a card.
Oh. Okay, so you've got your name. You've got a couple of interests. Write down at least 2 or 3. You're welcome to add your symbol to your card as well if you'd like. So for me, some of my interests are gardening. I like the guitar and music. I love to go hear live music. So if you were connected to me on Facebook, you would see the concerts that I go to see. You'd see the things that we're growing on our farm in New York. And I like dogs. I have a dog named Whiskey. And she's a rescue dog. So also on Facebook, you would see things come up for ASPCA because that's how we adopted our dog. So, well, my dog was a rescue dog from Tennessee, and Tennessee is known for their whiskey. So her name is Whiskey, Whiskey, which is the way they spell it in Tennessee. So there's a little homage to her. Yep, Whisky. So, yeah. Okay, now, has everybody got 2 or 3 interests on your card? Now let's talk about values. When I'm speaking of values, these are the qualities that you find important in yourself, important in other people. So give me some examples of values. Education, great. What else? What's another value? Trust, I love it. What else? Any other values?
Money.
Absolutely. Abundance. Abundance, I love it.
Many of them want money.
Let's try to think of a couple more values. Friendship. Family. Like respecting your family, being connected to your family, being part of community. So if you were to go to my LinkedIn, you would find out some of my values because I'm part of a women's ethical leadership group. So that tells you a little bit about what I think is important. I'm part of a group called Savvy Ladies that helps with financial empowerment. I have an herb farm up in Preston Hollow, New York. So that tells you that I like something about the land and growing stuff, right? So do you all have 2 or 3 values that you have that you put down on your card? These are a little bit tougher to come up with. Does everybody have a couple? Is anyone stuck figuring out what you value? what you think is important. This one's a little bit harder, I think. The last thing I want you to put on your card is a unique quality. What makes you you? Yeah, I know. I should have had you fill out one of these cards too. Yeah. So I am a big fan of puppets. And I will share another secret with you. I'm putting it all out for you guys today. When I met my husband, one of the reasons that I went out on my second date with him was because he used to work at Sesame Street and with Jim Henson. And I thought that was so cool. I'm like, oh, in a dream world, I would have scrapped fashion and just worked with the Muppets instead. So we actually had those Muppets that we gave to each other for Christmas one year. So he has a Muppet that represents him. It's a little lounge singer, so it's kind of fun. And then I have Esmeralda as my Muppet. But I love puppets, and I have a collection of puppets from all around the world as well. So from Thailand, Indonesia, things like that. So kind of fun. So that's something that everybody else here probably isn't a puppet lover like I am. So that's, at one point I did. I don't anymore, but I do use them for little presentations and stuff. So it's kind of fun. Okay, so does everyone have a unique quality? Something that makes you you? Okay. Now, on the other side of your card, I want you to write down one thing that you can do to start building or improving your digital brand. So that could be as simple as, you know what? I'm really not on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is more of a professional type of site. So maybe I can start building up my professional network, right? Or, gosh, you know what? I like to take photographs, but I'm not currently on Instagram. It's like, I want to play more on Instagram and like start exploring photographs and sharing photographs. So what's one thing that you could do? It may be starting a blog. It may be thinking about what my new image is going to be. It doesn't have to be big. It can be just adding 2 new people to my network. So you're writing down what's one thing that you can do to start building your digital brand. Okay. So what I want you to do is now turn to the person next to you, and I want you to share what your plan is to start building your digital brand. Here's where it gets a little bit trickier, though. I want you to tell them when you're planning to do this by. So it's one thing to set goals for ourselves, to say, you know what, I would like to have 200 people in my LinkedIn network. Okay, well, that isn't a very structured goal. By the end of the month, I'd like to have 200 people, and this is how I'm going to get there, and this is what I'm going to do to get to that goal. So turn to the person next to you, tell them what your goal is and when you want to do this by.
But I don't know, so no one understands. It seems like I'm not a very educated person.
Maybe
blog about my daily life and things like that to people. Maybe I'll find some new friends online by blogging.
Why do you with stranger danger?
Yeah, but it's anonymous, so they won't know what it is.
But you won't know who they
So
I already have some friends online.
you announce it.
I think I have like one notable by these. Well, actually, I have a couple just because like they moved to a different state.
Well, I have a few that live in.
Okay, if you have it switched, make sure the other person hears what your goal
Oh, I
is.
have one who lives in Canada. So.
Me too.
So how is it connected to
And then-
your values?
My values, quality, trust, family.
Excellent. So does anyone want to share with the group what your goal is? Sometimes just saying it out loud, putting it out there, like makes it closer to really happening. I guess you guys don't really want this to happen then. It's important stuff, you know. As you start looking at what schools you're going to, what jobs you want to have, meeting people just for friends, for companionship, anything. Like what you're putting out there is really making a difference. So who wants to be brave right now? Tell me what your plan is.
I'm brave.
Tell me.
I have 300 people online, but I haven't met anyone online whom I don't know. So I'm
Ooh.
trying to meet maybe at least one online in 2015.
Okay.
One person online.
Okay. There we go. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess for me it would be more expressive and deliberate in what I present.
Yeah. That's great. So just taking that minute just to think before you put it on, or saying intentionally, it's like, I know that I want to create this, so I'm going to put things out there that are leading me to that goal.
Yes.
Do you have a specific thing in mind, and you don't have to share it with us?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So being clear about what that is really important. Okay. Anyone else? Put it out there.
Unfriend people I don't talk to much.
Ah, beautiful.
I do that on everybody's birthdays.
I love that.
They list it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know you. Bye.
Okay. You know, that's really important. It's like Exupery said, sometimes it's not what needs to be added, but when you've taken away everything, it's like leaving the essence of what's really important to you, right? Okay. Very cool. Okay, so now, do you guys remember what symbol you made? I mean, it wasn't really that long ago that we did it, so I'm hoping everyone sort of remembers what your symbol was. Okay. Do you remember everyone you tattooed?
Yes. No.
No,
I don't.
not really.
Okay, well, we're in a fairly small group, so I'll give you credit if you do remember. But, like, is it a little bit of a blur? It's like, oh, I know I was just trying to get tattoos.
It's like I look at someone like, did I tattoo you?
Yeah. And it's like, well, do you remember whose tattoos they are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there was something about that connection. So is anyone familiar with this photograph over here? Do you know who that is? It is Angelina Jolie. And what is that a photograph of?
I think it's the coordination of her kids.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. And but there's something you can see under here that there was another tattoo that she had. So I believe that it was when she was married to Billy Bob Thornton, she had a tattoo put on there, and she had that removed, and then she replaced it with the coordinates. I think you're right, of where her kids were born. But you can still sort of see that tattoo there. So even though, you know, today we did this just for a giggle, you know, with washable markers and there are wipes in the back that you can take it off with. But when we put something online, it's not as easy to erase, right? So the thing is, this piece of paper, I get to keep. And if later I decide that I want to say, oh, well, these were all the people that were in my workshop over here at AA Success on October 11th, 2014, I still have all that information. I'm going to keep this with me. Now, you guys represented yourselves in a very intentional way. You put a little drawing here, and this is what you want to be remembered for. But imagine if you were giving me more secretive information. And I hung on to that, and years from now, I decided to put that back out there. So that tattoo, even though you're taking it off today, like there's that idea of what you're putting out there online. There's a level of permanence to it. So just as you're saying, being intentional about what you're putting out there, very, very important. Okay. In the back, I have a couple of things for you. I have my business card, and I do invite everyone to come find me on LinkedIn. It's a great place to network. It's a great place to connect with people. And then Tristan, if you could hold up one of those little blue cards for a second. This is a little gift for you. So my business is called Duckies in a Row, and I thank you. Lovely. I help people get their lives together. So it's working with young entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, people who are new to building a business, helping them build their business brand. I do coaching on all sorts of things, relationships, health, career, things like that. I work with a lot of high school students now as well. And this is a little card, just tells you a little bit about me, but more importantly, on the other side that you were beautifully presenting before, if you just need some space from someone in your house, this is a thing you can, you know, when you're at a hotel and there's a do not disturb, this is the Duckies in a Row do not disturb card. Thank you. So it's something that if you really want some space to go ahead and think really, you know, intentionally about what you're putting online, put that on your door so no one's bothering you because you're getting your digital citizenship Duckies in a Row at that time. So I've got some of those for you guys to take. And I guess we will open it up for any questions that you might have. About anything. We have it all on videotape, so awesome. I guess let's see who has the most tattoos. Okay, I have 3. Does anyone have more? Does anyone have more than 4 or more? Okay, 5 or more. 6 or more. You have the most tattoos?
I have 6.
6?
I have 6 too.
Okay, what about, does anyone have 7? Okay, so I have another one in there, but you guys get the Icebreaker Award, and I have one for you in the back. The Icebreaker Award means that you felt comfortable going up, breaking the ice with someone and saying, hey, can I give you a tattoo and can I have your tattoo? So you get an Icebreaker Award as well, and you get the Icebreaker Award today too. Yay! Yes.
So I have some questions.
Yes.
3 of them.
Okay.
And one of them would be, what should one focus on when they're doing their own branding?
Great. Okay. So you actually started doing that today. So when you're working on your own branding, you want to think about who you are, who you are as a person, what your interests and values are, wrapped up in what that brand is about. So, for example, our farm, we make vermouth. So we have a brand around that. So our brand is Still Farming. So it tells me something just in the name. Still, because we make things out of brandy, which is a distilled product, and farming, because we have our own farm to do herbs. So the first thing is, it's like, what do I want it to be about? Who do I want to put myself out there? And you're talking specifically about your personal brand or the brand of an item or a concept?
Personal branding?
Personal branding.
Or you can go through all of them.
Yeah, no. So personal branding, it really is what we started with today. It's figuring out what your values are. I like to actually start with creating a mission statement. And Franklin Covey actually has a little program online that you can punch in your mission statement. So if you were to go online, just look up mission statement creator. Again, Franklin Covey has a really good one. And they give you a lot of these words to look at. And it's like, what do I stand for? What are, it's really the values is the important part, but the interests also are important. So can you give me an example of one of your interests?
One of them is music.
Music. Okay, so if you want your brand to be out there that do you play music or do you appreciate music? Awesome. So if you want to be out there that, like, gosh, I want to go out there and see all these great new artists, or I want to, talk to people who are collectors of old jazz albums, like figuring out what does that mean? What does music mean to you? And building upon that. And I think anything with building your brand, it's becoming more and more specific. So with AA Success, when you started the brand, it's like, what do I want to create? And it's like, success. It's like, so what tools do we need to build towards success? So it's getting more and more specific about what that brand will be, whether it's just for you or for a business. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 2.
And 2 would be, have you heard of, it might have been a few years back, about how it might have started in Europe, and how they requested, or they had search engines remove negative or anything about a certain person.
Yeah, and they're talking about that. They're talking about that now. The theory in conversation, and this has been happening with Google right now, is that they're saying after a certain period of time, information will be removed, or that you can go in and request that information is removed. I believe it was on a TED Talk. I can't remember if it was a TED Talk or another NPR program that I had heard about that. The challenge that they said is just the sheer number, because it's one thing if everybody here, called me up and said, okay, take my name off of the fact that I was at your workshop. That'd be one thing. But if I was speaking to 1,000 people or 10,000 people, or everybody in Vienna, everyone in Virginia, everyone in the United States, it's just how fast it would be able to get executed was the big problem with that. And then you also have the situation with, if I post up a picture of me in Vegas and you download it, even if I eliminate it from my side, you may have a copy of it. So that's where it then becomes really tricky.
That's a little bit burdensome to the company too.
Yeah.
Overly burdensome.
Yeah, exactly. So did you have a third question?
What do you see the future of branding, like online branding or other forms?
The thing that I find really tricky is in coming up with names and getting your URL for it and protecting yourself. So the one thing I would say to all of you today is go online, see if you can get yourname.com and just have it. You can get it fairly inexpensively, just through, a site like GoDaddy or whatever, but just to protect yourself. Now, fortunately, I have leighvanswall.com. So if I maintain that, in theory, no one else should take my name. But it's just with so many people getting on and getting in the game, it's hard to say how diluted things may get. I think that building a network is really the key to your brand, because there's so much information out there that if you can create a group of fans who really believe in what you are doing, then you can just stay connected with those fans instead of trying to be everything to everybody. Because as we're all, it's kind of, if we imagined fitting 780 more people into this room, it'd be a lot more challenging to have a conversation. So the same thing is happening online, where we're just sort of creating. Whereas if we had all these people online, but then we said, you know what, everybody who likes music, let's all come over to this corner. That's, as you're branding yourself in music, that then you're part of the music corner instead of just this big mass of everybody. So the trick is being clear about what you stand for and what you're about. Right? Does anybody else have other questions? Yes.
As much as I'm not feeling, insecure about my job at my age, I do. You may not realize it. I do search my name on Google just to see what's going on with my, what's online.
Yeah.
Regarding my name, and I'm not sure any one of the students here make an effort to do that. So just an example, my law school students at work, before they apply for a job here, they do search on my name. They see what is it about Day, what is his reputation, what is his work accomplishment. So it's from you. I'm not sure whether or not you touch base on that, because for me as a person looking for job applicants, I'm also sometimes
absolutely,
the resume is not enough, so I might just click the button, Google search.
Well,
that
and
name, and then
no,
other things will pop up. So
and
that
it is
where the
it is
online-
happening in universities as well.
And they have the automated software nowadays in some of these big businesses that they just go ahead and screen and search for your name on Google,
Mm-hmm.
and then screen out and then come back with some interesting.
You
results.
are bringing up such a great point, and universities now they do that. I mean, it's part of the application process that they're going. Just know that if you're applying for university, it is highly likely that they will be Googling you. So the trick to that, and you know, part of it is taking down that yucky video that I didn't want up there, but part of it also is putting out the good stuff. So the more, if you start putting out, oh, well, I did this workshop and I am part of this organization, and putting the good things, then bring those up to the top, and the stuff that's not so great goes down. But there are stories about people who have not received jobs simply because they had pictures of them at a party, like being just a jerk and an idiot, and, you know, drinking, being crazy. And the person hiring for that job was like, I don't really know if that's what this person does every weekend or if that was just on his 40th birthday. So, but there are definitely times where you're going to lose your edge or gain your edge because of what someone finds online. Right? Yes.
Question.
Yeah.
So I know that you have Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of behavior in Facebook you want to present, and what type of people that you find really annoying?
Mm-hmm.
Just to understand.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's what you're talking about. So being mindful, like sometimes we tend to share a little too much sometimes, especially on Facebook, because it's set up for us to share. And, you know, it's like, do I really need to know what happened at that house that night? You know, and intimate details. And it's like, I like to use the filter. Would my grandma be okay reading this, or my work audience? You know, if it's something that has to do with Duckies in a Row or has to do with puppets or something like that, you know, and I have specific targeted places. So there's Duckies in a Row, and then Kangaroo Lunchbox is where my puppets and monsters and things lie. And then Leigh Van Swall, I try to filter that. So it's like the stuff that's there is part of my personal brand. And, you know, just go back to what I really want to hear about all of that. So it's trying to just take a minute and thinking before posting. Yes.
This deviates more toward our organization's branding.
Sure.
But what would you say will be the most common mistake an organization that's a success usually make when they try to build a brand?
I think that the biggest mistake will be trying to be everything to everyone.
Right.
That was really what we struggled with at Tommy Hilfiger, because at one point he was just a preppy brand, and then he just tried to gain all of these new audiences. And, you know, now we're 35 years later and it's like back to preppy brand, because it's staying true to your mission. So it's, you know, it goes back to figure out what your mission statement is and always use that as a filter.
Right.
Nautica was another brand that I worked with, and they had that brand filter where if there was a new possibility for a business, it's like, does it fit in the filter or not? And so I think that's the biggest key to staying on target.
Yeah. So like, let's say Nautica and Tommy Hilfiger and Polo,
Mhm.
Ralph Lauren Polo, all those brands are catered to the preppy type
Mhm.
of like culture.
Right.
How would Tommy Hilfiger figure out they want to just be just a preppy brand, but how can they stand out from, let's say, Ralph Lauren Polo?
Right. Part of that will also be within associations, who they're associated with. So who their network is.
Right.
So for example, if you have a brand that then partners up with Alzheimer's Foundation, they then strengthen themselves by saying, you know, we believe that remembering is important. And so we partner up with the Alzheimer's Foundation as a partner to sort of say, let's do our best to
So promoting your core value.
promoting core values, but doing it in conjunction. So it's collaborating with others
Right.
who have similar core values can
So
be
is
really.
that how they've been doing in terms of building their brand? Back?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is it was very important to figure out who they were associating with.
Right. I mean, every company is always
Right.
trying to figure out their brand.
Yeah. And the more, it's taking a mirror and looking back on yourself too, and saying, how do others see me, and getting feedback.
Right.
And, is this working? Is this what I'm really putting out there? So I invite you all, as I said, come connect with me. If you have any future questions, please don't hesitate. And I appreciate you all taking Saturday to come be with me. It was great. Thank you.
We appreciate you coming.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
Guys, can you guys hold it for a minute? Hold it for a minute because Sarah has an announcement to make.
So next Saturday, after a successful engagement department, there will be a tasting at Thomas Jefferson Park, and there will be coaches to help you improve your tennis skills or learn how to play tennis. So I'm just telling you if you see it.
Set the date, set the time. It'll be fun.
Yeah, my son's gonna be there. Anthony and Brian are gonna be there. Come on out and we'll have food. And then Sean's mom is gonna be making some appetizer and drinks for us. Well, so come out. It was a tennis club. Yeah. Next Saturday from 3 o'clock. Yeah, coming out and just support and meet and greet everyone.
Good job, Sarah. And we're gonna take a picture with
This wall.
Yeah. This is gonna take it.
Where's oh, let me go.
Everyone,
Yeah.